Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and welcome to Knife AQ. This is episode 136 of the Knife series, where I answer all your questions, whether they're sharp or dull. This week, amongst our topics, we're taking a look at the sorry state when you can't carry a pocket knife. And what's the next best thing? Let's get into it. All right, if you're new to this series, we need your questions to keep it going. So if you have one, drop it in the comments below. We'll review them, and if we think it's good, we'll pop it into a future episode. That's where all these questions today have come from. First one is from Kyle Kenny 6744. I recently became a teacher, and I need an item to replace the knife-sized hole in my pocket. Any help, please? First of all, thank you. Teachers get a lot of flack these days, and they do a lot of work and are very underpaid. So kudos to you for going into that line of work. I know your pain. I know that feeling when you check your pockets and the knife isn't there. Usually it's like traveling for me. I'm in an airport and just like something feels like it's missing. So I know exactly what you're dealing with here. There's a few things we can take a look at though. The first would be a pen, not just any pen, like a good pen. Although make sure to keep it away from the students. Those sorts of things have a way of disappearing rather quickly. But you can even get your quote unquote knife fix in when we're talking pens, such as the Spyderco Balio. Two options right here. There is a US made version, about $38.50, and there is an imported version, significantly cheaper, about $13 right now, and that's this. And you can see the handles are a little bit different. Weight-wise, it's a tiny bit less heavy, but they flip like a balisong. I'm not a great flipper, as you can tell, and these definitely don't flip as smoothly as your standard Bally either, but you can do it. Comes with pocket clips, so it can sit right there where your knife normally would. So you're not gonna reach down and go like, where did, there's something there. And the other nice part is Fisher Space Pen cartridge. So it's got a insert that can write just about anywhere, on just about anything, at just about any angle, which is always pretty cool. Olight is another one to check out. Well, I mean, you can check out any basically high-end pen like Tactile Turn, Tough Rider. We carry both of those. Just have a super solid, super well-machined feel, which can give you a little bit of that tactile response from those that you might get from your pocket knife normally. But this right here, the O Pen Pro from Olight, it's about $70. This could actually, even more than the pen here, kind of augment your teaching gig, because one, it has a flashlight, but more importantly, it has a laser pointer, which could be useful in an instructional role and could live right there where your pen would. Bolt action too, which is nice. Comes with a nice little red protector. You take that off before you write it, don't you know? Really cool little item right here. One of their flashlights as well, and not just any flashlight. This Arcfeld from Olight, about $100, with a 1000 lumen LED and a laser pointer. There you go. I think that's on point. Both of those, that laser element could add an extra, element to your teaching. And nice pocket clip there. Easy in and out on the pocket too. This is not a difficult light to put right there. Beyond those, more generally, either for you or anyone, these don't necessarily have teaching application, but a pocket pry bar could be a great way to go. There's a lot of keychain style pry bar tools out there, but I'm going to focus on a few here that have a pocket clip, so you can have it live right where that knife does. And we'll stick with Olight, the O-Knife Oticle 2 or Oticle 2. I'm not sure how they're pronouncing it actually. Regular price on this is about $40. While we're filming this, actually, we have it at about $36. So it's very affordable, and it has a vibe to it, a feel to it, like a knife that might cost more than that. I know I said knife, I meant to say knife there. We've got a copper inlay, blue anodized screws holding that in, pocket clip on the back, nice robust pry bar tip. This is titanium, I should say, or I should mention. We have a bottle opener right there. We have hex wrenches built into the body of it here, and a 1/4-inch bit driver on the back. Pocket clip to hold it, if I didn't say that already, and a millimeter ruler there at the front, or at the top edge right there. A lot of functionality in a small little space. You could also go with this, if you want to spend even less money, the Gerber Chonk pry bar. There it is, about $22. And it has some kind of like knife feeling features too, namely a micarta inlay, or onlay, I guess, on the front side right there. Gives you a bit of that, EDC pocket knife vibe. You've got a deep carry pocket clip there on the back. Would keep it nice and subtle, out of the way. Pry bar tip with a nail puller, and even though they're a little bit rounded off, you could use these two ends as some flathead drivers too. As for the hole on there, doesn't serve any practical purpose. I suppose you could like hook a carabiner on there if you were attaching it to something else, but it's a pocket knife replacement after all. It does allow you to kind of play around with it, which can be fun. It should be said also, stainless steel is the material here. Some folks might like that a little more than titanium, just for a kind of durability standpoint. Is a little bit heavier as a result, but no heavier than most pocket knives anyway. It's heavier than a bug out. It's 2.4 ounces, but virtually nothing. If you wanted to go a bit more high-end, there are high-end options as well. We've got from Lynch Northwest, this is the All Access Pass V1.8, coming in about $129. Black and bronze titanium on this one, but different flavors are available. Deep carry pocket clip here as well. Lynch cutout, keeping things nice and light. This is a quite light one indeed. This is 0.81 ounces. Lifetime warranty, hits in your pocket quite nicely. And like the Gerber, you've got the pry tip, the nail puller, and the ability to use that for flathead use, and the bottle opener too. We've also got some more, custom stuff even. Maverick Customs. They make knives, they make pry bars too. This one is titanium, but other materials are available. Each one of these is typically a one-off, as is this one. $105 for this 5-incher with a deep carry clip, with a bottle opener, and with the Anarchy symbol kind of flame anodized on there, which your classroom probably might feel a bit anarchic at times. So
mine did.
Could be pretty appropriate. Yeah, but that was your fault, Thomas.
There's no rules.
Check all of those out. Hopefully that'll fill the knife-shaped hole in your heart and your pocket. Next question comes from Jeremy UN6FR. Hey David, what is a good medium to small pocket knife that can be used as a pry bar? I keep giving my friend multi-tools and pocket knives. He snaps the tips off the knife blades. Any suggestions? Well, first off, I would say, well, you can get him a pry bar. We just talked about those. But more importantly, maybe stop giving your friends knives if he's just going to break them. I mean, you're incentivizing him to break the tips off of knives because you're just going to give him a new one. Makes sense. But anyway, I'll take you on a journey with this one because I had to kind of go through my thought process, or I'll share you my thought process and what journeyed me to the eventual answer I'm going to give here. The first one is, all right, what do you obviously prying with your knife blade is bad, right? We can all agree on that and move past it just for the purpose of this question, shall we? Okay.
Done.
The SR1 Lite from Cold Steel. I should mention, everything I'm going to show you here is fairly affordable because clearly he doesn't treat these things with the respect they deserve anyway. So you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on these things you're giving them. The SR1 Lite at $40 features like the pretty much chunkiest Tonto blade out there. Tontos typically do have more robust tips than most other blade shapes out there. So that's where my mind went first. Obviously, this is not a medium to small pocket knife, as you mentioned. This is a big guy with a 4-inch blade. Very cool, doesn't quite fit the criteria. So as my mind continued to work, I was like, well, what about other Tonto blades, other smaller ones? Cold Steel makes plenty. This Engage right here comes in about $64 with a 3 1/4 inch or 3 1/8 inch blade. I'd say that's on the medium to smaller side, but some of these Tontos in this price range aren't as overbuilt, aren't as thick as the SR1. In fact, this one has a nice thin blade, which is great for slicing, not for prying. But it's a pocket knife, it's supposed to slice. Anyway, so I moved on. I thought, what about something like the Razel GT from CRKT, coming in about 50 bucks right now. Yes, it has a sharpened leading edge, so you can still pierce or even chisel with it. But here's the bottom line. If he's snapping the tips on knives, he's gonna be able to snap the tip on pretty much any knife you're gonna give him anyway. So, but even so, this might not have enough tip strength, especially right here at the corner. That'd be easy enough to break off if he's getting in there with something. It's a cool knife though. You got a crowned spine, that leading sharpened edge. You've got an assisted opening action that works really, really well. But is this the right answer? I don't know. I don't think so. Which led me then, I remembered this knife, the Sledgehammer from Bestech. Yeah, it's kind of a Tonto. It's kind of a mix between a Tonto and that Razel, honestly, because you have a very abrupt leading edge. It is nice and thick, as you can see from the spine shot right there. It's also affordable at $52. Be even harder to snap the tip versus the CRKT right here, but I still think you could do it. It is a cool knife though. Ball bearings in the pivot, nice blade shape, micarta, deep carry clip, affordable. So I'm like, no, let's keep going. I need something more indestructible. And then I remembered this, which opened the doors for me to the final answer, because this is still not my final answer, but this was the key that unlocked it. The Gerber Key Note, in fact. 23 bucks, tiny blade, but it's just a wedge of steel. Very abrupt grinds, very thick, very robust. Very hard to break off the tip on this little blade, but it might not be enough blade. Depends on what he's using them for. Quite honestly, I'm assuming it's a he. But these are kind of neat. They're a little bit different. You can use it on your key ring, or you can take that off, use it as a pocket knife right there. They are specifically designed not to actually flip open. This flipper tab here is just to get it started and then finish it, because it still is kind of a two-hand opener. That's a great little chisel. And then I remembered, Gerber makes a lot of stuff that actually, or a handful of things anyway, that combine knives and pry bars, which remember was my first suggestion. First off, the Pry Bar, 25 bucks. It is a replaceable blade, extendable utility blade cutter right there. So if he does snap the tip when using that, he can replace it instead of you having to replace it. He can keep a handful of these everywhere he goes. But that's obviously not a good prying device. It doesn't quite have the chutzpah for it. You got pry tips right there on the back. So it's right there. He doesn't even have to deploy anything. He might be more inclined to actually use the pry tips on this. You got your nail pulling and screwdriver driving functionality of these two, and you've got a bottle opener. No pocket clip on this, and that could be a demerit depending on how he wants to carry it. I wonder if you could screw something on there, or even, there's things you could do, but it's not ideal for that, I will admit. Another thing they make that could work really well is the Lockdown series. There's a slim with fewer tools, but I would go with the full-size version. You did mention multi-tools, so I'm gonna suggest one here. This comes in at about 50 bucks, and it does have a blade. They are ostensibly one-hand opening with these devices here, but they sometimes need a little bit more help, a little bit of a two-handed roll. You do have a pocket knife blade, but you do have pry tips on the outside, but it gets even better. I'll get to that in a second. What else does this tool have? You do have a nice pair of scissors right there. You have a small utility or X-Acto style blade holder. So again, you could always have extra packs of these around. So even if he mucks up the main blade, you can always swap in and have that kind of utility blade going. But here is the true kicker for this one. You have a nail file, or a file/chisel with a liner lock as well right there. So if he's gonna go prying, you can still do it with a sharp edge with this and just clean it right up without affecting the main blade. I think that would work pretty well right there.
Give a man a knife, he'll break it in a day. If he pays for it himself, it'll take a little longer.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Back to my original point. And then I after getting through all those, I do have two other things to take a look at too. Very affordable knives, the Kershaw Shuffle series. The Shuffle and the Shuffle 2, 20 and 25 bucks respectively. Each of them have prying devices built into the back. Kershaw makes some other knives that have this kind of feature too that are even smaller, but these I think are the more appropriate size. Bottle opener here on the Shuffle 1. I definitely prefer the Shuffle 2 only because you have a little more protection here on the kind of finger choil area, even though you could argue whether that's actual choil or not. On the Shuffle 1, that is a big size finger choil, but you do kind of kiss the back end of the sharpened blade right here. So the Shuffle 2 is better for me personally in that regard, but also it has a Tonto, which if he's gonna pry with the thing, at least it's the Tonto, right? But it does have that Pry Bar, driving tip there at the back. Maybe not quite as obvious as some of the other pry-backed things we've looked at today, but it is there, and it can open bottles, which officially makes it, as we know, a multi-tool, doesn't it? So there you go, 25 bucks. I think it's an 8CR series stainless. Yeah, not too bad at all for the money. Now we come to our lightning round for the day from Kanye South 29. It's funny. I always ruin my knife blades or chip them. Anyone know how to fix that? Like, what am I doing wrong? Well, you could be prying with it, in which case you can break anything, as we kind of talked about before. Or, I hate to say it, you could be using them improperly for things they weren't intended to do. Or you could be sharpening them at too narrow of an angle for the steel of the knife to support. So that even if you're doing it just under fairly normal use, it might not be able to stand up to that sort of thing. So I would say either, look inward, examine yourself, examine how you're using the knife, and examine how you're sharpening the knife and see whether that's appropriate for what you're using. Even if you do decide you're going to continue to abuse your knife and use it in ways most knives aren't typically, one way to kind of help yourself out there anyway is sharpening it at a more abrupt angle, a less steep angle, 25 degrees per side or something even like that, which for someone like me, I always want, at least 17 to 20. Actually, 17 is kind of my favorite, but those are going to slice better. 25 per side is not going to slice super well, but it is going to be tougher. All right, next question comes from Tazo Zacharias 9111. Hello, DCA. What's the least amount of knives that one can have to do almost any possible blade work? Well, it's almost impossible to answer that question, and it's almost impossible to define any possible blade work, because that's honestly going to be different from person to person. We can do it, you can check out our top 5 cold steel knife collection video we did recently, where for me personally, if we exclude kitchen knives, I can do all of my knife stuff that I need to do with about 5 knives, but I could probably do it with less if we're trying to truly minimize things and get as few things as possible. I don't need a gentleman's knife to cut, but I want my gentleman's knife for my thing. But brings me to the point where the answer, like the common wisdom is, the better your knowledge, the better your skills. The more you have up here, the less you need to make it happen. Whether that's in a survival situation, the more knowledge you have, the fewer tools you need, but it applies to pretty much anything out there. But this is a knife channel, so I have to give you a little bit of an answer. We can look to cultures out there that truly do all their stuff with one style of blade, and Thomas is already focusing his B camera on it right up here. Check out the ulu. The Inuit tribes used this for pretty much every knife thing that they had to do. Could be done with this. Kitchen work, skinning, utility work, it does it all.
Or you just have a friend with a knife and essentially your collection is 0.
And then if you break the tip though, he might give you that one and then you have another knife.
And then you have a knife.
What's the least amount of knives you can have without breaking the tips? I don't know. Now we come to our final question of the day, which is the most serious question of the day, of course, which comes from 83 ravioli. That's a lot of ravioli.
For you.
How big are these ravioli?
There's a question.
Unless it's talking like 1983, in which case that's an old ravioli. Don't eat it. Anyway, most serious question for a future episode. Which knife should I bring to a gunfight? I have the answer for you right here. It is the Smith & Wesson M325 revolver flipper. There you go. About 30 bucks. And here's the thing, even though the adage goes, never bring a knife to a gunfight. If you're inside 7 yards, this might be a better option anyway. If you know, you know. Anyway, do not try this at home. That's all we have for today. Keep your questions coming. Keep your most serious questions coming. I'm running a little thin in my my idea bank for the most serious questions. So there's no question too ridiculous to at least put in the comments section. I may ignore it and may not find a funny angle on it, but I need your questions. And I need your most serious questions. Leave them in the comments below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you've got some alternate answers for our questioners today. Drop those down there below as well. And if you want to get your hands on any of these items, check out the links in the description to take you to KnifeCenter.com, where we're very proud of our long-running Knife Rewards program, meaning when you pick up one of these knives today, you get to earn some free money to spend on a future one, up to 5% in some cases even. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.